did a note get into a sealed cereal box? That's the question, among others, tonight being asked by Luzerne County.
In my bowl, and out comes this paper.
On July 29th, 2019, a guy decided to go on a casual hike throughout his local forest. About halfway through the hike, he noticed a small note wrapped in plastic attached to a railing. Confused and curious, he decided to make a post on the subreddit WTF, titled, "This note wrapped in plastic I found in the woods while hiking." The attached image showed a small note with what looked like a bunch of random nonsense typed out. Most of the sentences make no sense, half the words aren't even spelled right, and with the few sentences that you can make out, lead to pretty much nothing. But even though the note itself looked like a troll, the post blew up, with people claiming they had found the same or similar notes scattered throughout their city. The main thing that first started to freak people out wasn't entirely what was written on the note, but instead, the fact that a Reddit post that maybe only a couple people had seen at the time led to an outbreak of people finding these everywhere. These notes were making their way into all different kinds of subreddits, with people finding them in much stranger spots than just the forest. These notes started to pop up in sealed store-bought items, with one user finding one inside a box of cat food, another in an Aleve bottle, and another inside a box of chocolate. Now, even though it's hard to imagine why someone would do this, it's actually quite easy to tamper with food packaging. Whether it's resealing a box with a glue gun, or using a straightening iron to close up a bag. It's honestly scary how simple it is. But even though it's easy, why do it? First, we have to figure out where these notes are coming from. And after a quick search, the notes themselves all seem to be originating from the same place, the Schuylkill County of Pennsylvania. As we can see, most of these notes are inside Schuylkill County, with a few outliers spread across the US. And with all these notes popping up so quickly in one area, they started to grab the attention of some local news sites. Coalspeaker.com was one of the first to make a report on this, describing how these notes were being found in sealed food products and quickly being returned back to the store. The report mentions the theory that these notes might be coming from the workers inside the factory, considering the notes were inside sealed bags, but that's something we'll come back to. Over the next few years, more and more posts were being reported of people finding these notes, by the woods or inside food products. But towards the end of 2023, this went from a silly Reddit mystery to something that would be investigated by the FBI. The news source PA homepage made a report on a man from Luzerne County who found one of these notes inside a Lucky Charms cereal box.
And Joe Miller from Sugarloaf Township says he couldn't believe what he was seeing. He tells the I-Team he bought the box of Lucky Charms s'more cereal at a Luzerne County grocery store on Sunday and opened it on Monday night.
Oh, I was devastated. I mean, I didn't even want to eat the cereal. Although I still have the box here, I'm probably not going to eat it.
The fact that the note was found inside the sealed part of the cereal was enough for the PA team to contact the FBI, which later updated the report to tell us that a couple of congressmen had been involved, as well as the FDA, pushing this way past just a creepy Reddit post. As of right now though, the FDA's investigation is still ongoing, with news reports still being filed to this day. But even with the FDA looking into these notes, as soon as the story made frontlines, lots of people didn't want to sit around and wait for the news to update them. So a couple of Reddit users got together and made the subreddit r/SchuylkillNotes. The subreddit sparked people to come up with their own theories, as well as share their own experiences upon finding these notes. And if you were to visit the subreddit now, it's mostly that. Although one thing you might catch is that there seems to be almost too many notes, with some people claiming they found up to 17 different notes on a single hike, which raises a big red flag: copycats. Now, these outliers stray pretty far away from the original spot where most of these notes were being found, but they're actually not the reason why I think there's so many fakes out there. Most of the notes that pop up on Reddit look as real as it gets, from how the note was packaged all the way down to the font. But when actually looking at the notes, you'll see they all have pretty subtle differences. Most of these new Reddit posts show the same note, so either there's a bunch of the same ones, or people trying to pass this off as a real note, overlook those small differences. Another big tell is the locations. Zooming into Schuylkill County, most of the notes are erratic and look pretty difficult to get to in a short amount of time, or almost impossible to make in one trip. With that being said, people have found up to 15 notes in spots you could hit in about an hour. Compared to earlier reports, where finding just 3 might have taken all day. It's pretty convenient that these were all found so close, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they were copycats. 2018 through 2019, notes were found at very similar distances like these. But that was also 6 years ago, before anybody really knew what these were. So what are these notes actually trying to say? There are more theories about these notes than I could probably ever fit into one video. So instead, let's look at some of the more popular ones, starting with factory workers. The theory that factory workers were sticking these notes inside food items was actually one of the biggest theories that people believed, considering some of the notes were found in sealed boxes of cereal and chocolate bars. But since most of the notes that were found inside food were scattered throughout the US, as well as not being from the same manufacturer, it's hard to imagine that this theory is true, especially since factories are usually monitored very closely, and pulling this off for as long as these notes have been around would be nearly impossible. An article written by J.D. Sword actually looked into this possibility, as well as mentioning that the notes were more likely placed into the food items after they'd been on the shelves. And just to further prove his point, J.D. tested his theory by making his own note, and using a flat object to push the note through the seams of a Lunchable box, without tampering or damaging the box. He also mentions that this is most likely the work of just one person, or at least in the beginning. So now that we know that these notes are being placed after the products hit the shelves, and is probably just one person, the only theory that really makes sense is this being the work of someone with a serious mental illness. The notes looking like a bunch of conspiracy theories all mashed together, and all the sentences leading to pretty much nowhere, I feel like it's safe to assume that this is the case. As far as the notes spreading as far and as much as they did, is most likely the cause of Reddit. With how big these notes became, I can only assume everybody wanted to be the next person to find one, which is what leads to all the copycats. Now, the person who started all this is still unknown. But with how active this community is and the ongoing investigation, I'm sure much more information will be available in the future. Until then, all we can really do is hope that these are just some harmless notes.